LCTR here, and I thought we should look at something ever so slightly different. It's first person, sure, but shooter it is not. You might find it listed under the puzzle game category, but to be honest, I found it delivers so much more than your average Sudoku. Welcome to the Manifold Garden. And in my normal full disclosure way, I'd like to say that the developers of Manifold Garden gave me access to the game via Steam for the purposes of making videos, just like this one. Have you ever seen the work of a gentleman named M.C. Escher? He was an artist from the Netherlands, and arguably his most famous works were of impossible buildings. Pictures that look normal initially, and the more you process what they're showing you, the more you realize that it can't possibly be the way that it actually looks. Or like visual sleight of hand. I'll link a gallery to his work in the description below if you're interested. Well, the spirit of his work seems to live on in titles like Manifold Garden. Yes, it's a puzzle game, but in the same way that you might call the Portal series puzzle games, the descriptor almost seems to really miss the heart of that. The experience of playing is so much richer than that simple tag might initially lead you to believe. The first thing to strike you is the rather arresting visual design of Manifold Garden. It has a sort of timeless, classless, simple feel, yet there's also a sense of quality. It doesn't look simple because that was the only option. It kind of looks simple because that's what the developers wanted. You also see the vast scale that this game takes place on. Horizons of all sorts are common. I found it reminded me of fractals, both simple and beautiful, but often with an organic feel. There's nothing sterile about this world. And just a quick aside to say, if you are enjoying this video, please do tap the thumb up button. It helps me out with YouTube and discoverability and all stuff like that. If you tap that subscribe button right now as well, then that really is appreciated too. Thank you. The gameplay is mainly one of rotation and logical thought, neither things I profess having particular affinity with. The space key rotates the world that you're in. Point at a surface and press space, and that surface becomes the floor. It's both breathtakingly simple and also mind-bending to work out the ramifications of. Mix this simple concept into the vast and seemingly infinite world, and you have a gaming experience like no other I've ever had. It's perplexing yet rewarding when you figure out the series of steps that you'll need to take objects or yourself around to actually get into the next area. The huge reaching scenery seems to be used as both reward for finding your way through the game, yet is also woven into the solutions and the tasks that you're trying to undertake. The puzzles themselves are there to make you think laterally, but the game doesn't resort to any sort of obvious cheap jeopardy like time button pressing or things like that. I find myself often thinking, am I doing this correctly upon managing to actually make some progress? But of course, pleasingly, it doesn't really matter as long as you're not stuck. I'll hold my hands up and say yes, sometimes things took me longer to figure out than I might have wanted. I found some things a little tough to grasp actually what I needed to do. I'm sure seasoned puzzle people, if they do exist, might put those pieces together in their heads with much more ease and significantly less cursing. The general path through the puzzles is pretty linear as well, so that means that you need to solve one to get to the next one. I don't mind saying that after struggling with one puzzle for a while, on entering the next area and seeing the next puzzle, I decided to rather take a break than continuing to play. There's not really any function for downtime in the game if you're not wanting to make progress with another puzzle. Talked about the graphics already, the style in particular, but also the way that the world feels is pretty unique to gaming. There's some impossible doorway stuff that I have a real affection for. Standing at the entrance to a huge cavern that you can also walk around the back of is exactly the sort of visual sleight of hand that I enjoy. The stretching and repeating of the world feels like new ground though. I'm no graphics programmer, but the thought of making that world in an engine, which is Unity in this case, that wouldn't natively actually allow such structures does boggle the mind. Kudos to those people who worked on making this world look as impossible as it does. Audio plays a large part in Manifold Garden. There's a nice physicality to the world, the footsteps, the noises as objects knock together. It actually tells you more about their makeup than the simplistic visuals do. But it's the music that does a lot of the heavy lifting for setting tone and changing mood as you move around this world. It does a superb job in conveying the vastness and epic scale, while also giving a sort of haunting feel. Anyone familiar with the original Blade Runner score might hear what sounds like love for that 1980s work. If you like ambient synths, then you're in for a treat. The score is available to buy and is also on Spotify, and for what it's worth, I find it's quite good music to work to. In fact, I don't really want to spoil that mood, but audio is where I met one of the few bugs in Manifold Garden, or at least what seems like unintended behavior. If you're in like a big moment, the completion of a puzzle or an opening of a door, and you might get a strong musical cue, a rising, rousing bit of music as a reward and to signify your progress. But if you pass through the threshold of that door into the new area, that music is cut jarringly. All that swell of emotion is chopped abruptly short in a rather clumsy way. Like I said, it's not a game stopper of an issue, but it's a shame nevertheless. The simple nature of the graphics and the lack of things like network load mean that the game can probably run on some pretty low-spec hardware. I didn't find performance to be an issue unless you went for some of the top real multi-samp anti-aliasing options. Those options did help with the aliasing of objects at distance, which there are a lot of in this game, but to be honest, it wasn't a complete success. I'm guessing that you'd need some very high sample rates to get rid of all the aliasing in Manifold Garden. In many ways, you might argue that its kind of recurrent visual design and art style presents something of a perfect storm for just about any real-time anti-aliasing approach. So, Manifold Garden, is it worth playing? The whole concept and look attracted me to the game even before I knew that it was in the puzzle category. I think I saw the trailer a while back and it looked somehow retro and futuristic at the same time. My experience of playing was basically everything I hoped for in that trailer. Not just of those tricks of the eye, but of a reprogramming of how you thought about the space that you were in. That magic feeling when you watch something happen and you don't know how it works is there in spades. The borders of the world that I'm so used to dealing with in games either aren't there or are used as a tool to wield. It has a sciencey feel while also feeling warm and open for exploration. If you want to try something, then go for it. You won't be penalized, and you might learn something when you do. It feels like a confident title, secure in what it wants you to experience. There's no power-ups or character progression, but it absolutely doesn't feel like it needs any of that. I thoroughly enjoyed my time walking through this lush and unusual garden. Manifold Garden is currently $15.99 on Steam in the UK, but I've also seen it in their sales for around 25% reduction. It's also on a bunch of other platforms too, but on mobile, it's solely on iOS. What do you think of Manifold Garden? Have you tried it before? Is it something that you'd like to try? Let me know all your powerful thoughts and feelings by leaving a comment below right now. Like always, I'll be reading every single one of them. If you did enjoy this video, please tap the subscribe button and that thumb up button, as it really helps me grow the channel and continue to make videos that you enjoy. For those people who do the extra mile and post to Facebook and Twitter and Reddit or wherever, and an extra thank you to you, as it massively helps me out. It really is appreciated. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you next time. Take care.